also had a big announcement. A new policy requiring players to either stand for the national anthem or stay in the locker room. And you know who weighed in on it. Watch.
I don't think people should be staying in locker rooms, but still, I think it's good. You have to stand proudly for the national anthem. Well, you shouldn't be playing. You shouldn't be there. Maybe you shouldn't be in the country. You have to stand proudly for the national anthem. And the NFL owners did the right thing if that's what they've done.
Okay. Well, you know, some people say that dodging the draft 5 times is un-American. Maybe he shouldn't be in the country.
Well, it's clear that this decision was really all about money, because you are talking about private companies that had to have heard something, because they're not going to operate necessarily on pure integrity. It's dollar signs for them. But it's sad, because one of the beautiful things about for me standing for the national anthem was it became more powerful when you stood next to someone who was kneeling, because I think it's...
Have you done that?
Well, Gabe is the first. I haven't done the national anthem. I haven't been at anything with the national anthem, but...
You got a baby.
But
you don't go nowhere.
I don't think No, I mean metaphorically, the idea of standing next to someone who's kneeling. We don't have the same history in this country, and until people can separate that, this doesn't mean the same to all of us. And it really, for me, I do link it to the idea of military because of my personal experience with my own parents. The person next to me doesn't. And that's why I'm standing and putting my hand on my heart, is to protect all of that and the differences among us. So
some people may be kneeling because of their personal experience, because as I've said many times, this protest is not about the national anthem. This protest is not about the flag. It is about the fact that our country still, think about the Milwaukee Bucks player Sterling Brown, who was tased for doing absolutely nothing by the police. This country still terrorizes African-American men at a much disproportionate rate than it does to white men. And so my experience in this country is valid, it should be valued, and if I want to kneel because I don't think America is as great as she can be, I don't think America has lived up to the promise of the flag, that means I am being just as American as you are when you stand in homage to your parents' service.
What frightens me about him is his rage in this particular show. Can you show the tape of him when he first was talking about this? And notice how enraged he is. Over the top. Can play that for him.
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
So angry. It's like, why is that make you so angry? You know, well, he needs to look into it, into why.
It's a very emotional issue, though. I mean, I don't agree with
There are many emotional issues, but I've never seen him quite that angry like that. There's something about this particular story that makes him really furious.
I can't analyze his anger in different places. He's been pretty angry and irrational in a lot of different places. I will say that I completely disagree with everyone on this table. I would never be okay with someone not saluting the flag. By the way, 72% of Americans, according to Reuters, said that they thought Kaepernick's behavior was unpatriotic. Listen, I disagree. I know it's unpopular in this room. I get it. That's why we do this job. 53% of Americans, according to a Washington Post poll published yesterday, said it's never inappropriate to kneel during the national anthem. I have a flag in my dressing room. I have many in my home. It is what we drape the coffins of soldiers' bodies when they come back from war. It's a very obviously deeply, intensely emotional issue. Couldn't disagree with everyone more.
Okay. Well, you know, I'm just going to add my little 2 cents that oftentimes the bodies of some of the men that the guys are kneeling about don't get to have don't get to have flags on them, because sometimes, you know, listen, there are a lot of things that make us Americans. The fact that we can disagree and I can sit and you can stand and we can still continue on. But the idea that now in America, you are not allowed to disagree. You're not allowed to do that. You know, in a dictatorship, you got to stand. You got to stand for the flag. They say you got to do it. That's never been how we did it. People have the way they feel, and the NFL's done what they did, and these players have done what they've done. And because the NFL players are all white, I would think they would have understood a little bit more about why their players are
70% are black.
You know, And
Does it
so
make a difference that it's a corporation? Because again, like if we couldn't come on here, we work for ABC, so I couldn't come on here with a, I don't know, a shirt that says the F word on it or something like that. Does it make a
Right.
difference to you that money and corporations are involved?
It makes a difference to me that I feel this was forced by the guy in the White House. I don't think this was. I don't think this was something that he particularly, because when I think about him and what he thinks is patriotic, I'm not buying it.
saw
So
the
I don't
bridge.
believe why he did it. I think he did it as meat. But you know, they have the right to say in our company you can't do that. That's why some schools have to wear uniforms and some schools don't.
Well, but I think she makes a good point in the sense that it does make a difference because you're talking about the difference between what you can do at work and what you can do on your own. And the Constitution does protect a corporation that is telling its employees you can't do this on work time. But what happens when you have the Supreme Court saying, you know, Jehovah's Witnesses, because of freedom of speech and freedom of religion, don't have to stand for the national anthem in our schools? What happens when the players are, you know, playing on a field that is owned by the public? And so there are exceptions, I think, when someone is working for a corporation, and above all else, freedom of speech and freedom of the First Amendment should be paramount.
Okay, so the question I have, though, just for a second. I'm sorry, Joy, never mind. Go ahead.
I also would like to add that, you know,
typhoid.
the average person, we're kind of powerless. You know, all we have is the vote and we have protest. There's not that much more that we can do. So people are angry, feeling powerless because of the way they're conducting the country right now. I personally abhor the way this man is conducting business in this country. And so do the racism is disgraceful. And Donald Trump needs to be taken to task. Now, how do you do it? If you're a football player or whatever they are, any sports guy who has a position to do it, do it. He has to do it.
Well, yeah, everyone has the right to protest. You can burn an American flag in this country if you want. It's your constitutional right. If I do think, though, if someone found out that one of the hosts on this show was going home every night burning an American flag, we might not have a job because at the end of the day, there is a corporation and there's an audience and there's money involved.
If you go home and you burn your flag, this company cannot.
And no one's doing that. It's
fire
just
you for that.
They cannot fire you.
No, they cannot.
No, but the audience
but
could
there was outrage from
the outrage in the same way that there was with the NFL. This isn't. I mean, what again? And I think sometimes it's easy to forget in our bubbles, which I fully agree that I live in one myself. But there are people that on both sides. This is extremely emotional on many levels, and I
think I'm sorry, baby, including the players. It's very emotional for them as well. No, for the same reasons I'm saying, because they have military in their family, and that's why they keep saying this is not about disrespecting the soldiers, this is not about disrespecting the flag, this is about saying I don't feel the flag protects me as